high insulin and insulin resistance is a way for the body to assess the fitness of the environment and the fitness of the individual in a way. And it's essentially a marker, a canary in the coal mine that's whistling back to the person saying, hey, you are not okay. Your metabolic house is not in order. Don't get pregnant right now until we get these things worked out. Because really, the fact that you see the two most common infertilities, PCOS in women, erectile dysfunction in men, that insulin resistance is the single most common driver of these, I think, to me, and this is, of course, speculation. This is the philosophy now. I think it's because it's the body's way of saying, we're not okay. We need to get this stuff worked out first. You got it worked out? Okay, now we're good to go. And sure enough, that's almost always what happens. As a person improves their insulin resistance and becomes more insulin sensitive and insulin levels come down, she now has a normal ovulatory cycle and can get pregnant. He now has normal vasodilation and can have a normal erection. And this is usually in people with a pre-existing, with a family history of type 2 diabetes. So if a woman's getting pregnant and mom or dad had type 2 diabetes, she has to be much more concerned about making sure her insulin resistance doesn't go too far. She's going to have some, there's no avoiding it, and there's no reason to avoid it. She needs to become somewhat insulin resistant during the pregnancy. But this would be a person who'd need to be a little more careful. But the overall paradigm is just the same as with type 2 diabetes. Her insulin levels are going up ever higher. It's serving a purpose, helping her and the baby grow. But then eventually, if she allows the insulin resistance to get very bad, or she just has a genetic predisposition and so she has to fight even harder, she becomes very resistant to her own insulin, and now her glucose levels start to climb. And with the rising glucose, this goes from just the normal insulin resistance of pregnancy to gestational diabetes. And the consequences are real. If a woman has gestational diabetes, she is significantly more likely to develop type 2 diabetes later. And her baby is much more likely to develop type 2 diabetes later in life. And the reasons for that are unknown, but I will speculate again. It's almost like when the mom has gestational diabetes, the baby is literally developing in an environment of high glucose and high insulin. And so it's possible that the little boy or the little girl essentially becomes hardwired to seek high glucose and high insulin even after the baby's born. And so it might drive the baby to just want to eat a way that's going to keep the glucose and insulin at a level that he or she literally developed in utero.